Good evening. This is my applied reflections for chapters 11 and 12 within the course Healthcare Quality Management and Assessment with Dr. Melanie Tidman. Chapter 11, Designing and Implementing Improvements. One of the most important abilities for anyone in healthcare, especially those that are in management positions to have, is the ability to think critically. In fact, if a manager is going to be successful in any way, they must be able to think critically. This is essential for being able to effectively manage a department's limited resources, whether those resources are financial, human resources, and even patient lives. One benefit that managers have is through quality management and improvement. There are various ways that they can use to guide them and improve their skills in critical thinking. Those are including, but not limited to, plan, do, check, act, or PDCA, Six Sigma, and lean strategies. PDCA is a form of quality improvement. This is flexible enough to be utilized in most improvement projects. This can help a team zero in on known problems, understand why it is a problem in the first place, and then develop a series of solutions to successfully correct that problem. In fact, the Institution for Healthcare Improvement suggests that answering 3 additional questions prior to applying PDCA is effective in, or it makes PDCA more effective. These questions will answer what it is trying to be accomplished. It tells us, or what tells us that change, will tell us that a change will be an improvement. And finally, what are those changes needed that make this become an improvement? Rapid cycle improvement. This model uses PDCA. It just kind of speeds up the process. And this is used in order to initiate small changes in smaller increments to improve processes. These changes are typically done in less than 6 weeks. Six Sigma, however, is very rigorous and disciplined and is intended to be an ongoing improvement process. It uses tools, methods, and statistical analysis. This method focuses on the reasons there are problems to begin with, or the root causes, while monitoring the continual process of improvement and control of the entire process. And lean strategies, the goal of this is to improve a particular process. Its goal is to standardize work, making the process more user-friendly and preventing anything from slowing down or hindering the process. Standardizing the process or work is taking that work and breaking it down and defining it so that it is completed in the same way by each individual or person that is involved in the process. This is intended to improve efficiency and reducing errors. If a project or process is user-friendly, then that means that the employees or the staff are able to carry it out more easily. In order for this to be accomplished, then the process cannot be complicated or convoluted, but it must be simple and direct. Unobstructed throughput. This is the process of identifying and eliminating elements that may create slowdowns or quote-unquote bottlenecks in the process. One way to visualize this process is through a value stream map, or VSM. And it includes inputs, throughputs, and outputs that affect product delivery. The implementation of improvements can only come when a manager truly understands the system. With the implementation of improvements, one thing that can happen is what is called unintended consequences. This is when an improvement happens and it affects the rest of the system in a manner that it was not intended. This frequently is an error on the part of the manager that has implemented the change, and even if it is not, the organization may consider it to be their error. And small wins. These are considered building blocks within the improvement process and allow for continual or continuous improvement. Another approach to quality improvement and critical thinking is the process of reverse planning. Now, while this may seem unorthodox, the main goal of reverse planning is to focus on the end result or the end goal and work backwards to achieving that goal. However, during this process, each step must be completed in order for the process to be continued on to the next step. During the process of quality improvement, one potential problem that can happen is what is called creative tension. This is when a change is needed, but those involved have the mentality of, it has always been done this way. Therefore, tension resolution must occur if change is going to occur. One way that managers can get a clear vision of how an organization operates and its vision for the future is through organizational assessments. If this is done regularly, it will allow a manager to continually re-examine, document, and communicate how the organization is operating versus its end goal of performance. Kind of gives an idea of where we're at and where we want to be. With the implementation of small wins in this process, that will work. It works towards the overall vision of the organization. This allows for the continual improvement, within the organization. If these steps are going to be successful, a manager must ensure that each step is large enough to ensure that the department or organization does not fall back into its old patterns. Therefore, we don't end up in a situation where we take one step forward and two steps back. Chapter 12, Using Improvement Teams and Tools. We can implement all of the quality improvement projects that we want to as managers. However, if we don't have a team or the right tools or resources to implement these projects, then they're not going to be successful. When people are asked to change the way in which something is done, the end result is an improvement project. There are many ways that improvement projects can be implemented, one of those being what is called a charter project. This is done when a project goal is clearly stated. The next step in the process is to choose team members to which to implement the project or improvement process. This part of the process is not to be taken lightly. When a project charter is written, this is a form of contract between the management and the improvement team that they understand that the problem has been identified and will be addressed and corrected if possible. A charter project consists of 4 parts. You have your purpose, your objectives, your deliverables, and your team and team resources. Your purpose is an explanation of what the goal of the project is. This must be very clear and very specific. Objectives. These are the steps within the project that it will take in order to achieve its overall goal. These are typically measured out in small steps or goals that need to be reached in order for the overall achievement purpose or project's purpose to be achieved. Deliverables. These are goals within the project that can be achieved along the way. These are measurable points of progress, typically are given a time limit or a timetable. And finally, your team and team resources. These are those things or the people that are involved or take part in the project, and they impact the project, whether it's directly or indirectly. Each of these are needed to ensure that the process is able to be carried out. Performance improvement teams. Much thought goes into picking out people to participate on a performance improvement team. The purpose of the project plays a major part in choosing who needs to be on the team. Before choosing team members, a manager must ask themselves these questions. For the project to be successful, what knowledge is required for the team members, and what team members are needed for implementation to be successful? Once the team has been established, then the team must establish a meeting schedule and frequency. This is key. The problem with this is it can be difficult due to other responsibilities that the team members have within the organization. One way to solve this issue is to develop an alternative approach for scheduling. So in your basic, we're going to meet once a week for 2 hours. You can base your scheduling off of something that is called the systemic method. This is where you schedule your meetings according to where you are at within the improvement process. Decision making. It is one of the most common ways to make decision within the project team is called consensus. This is a generalization or a general idea that everybody within the team can agree upon. Throughout the entire process of the project, when a manager remains informed, they can aid the team members with the decision-making process. Improvement tools. Any tool that helps a manager and the team members understand a process better is valuable. It is important to understand the process, for if one does not understand that process, then it cannot be improved. One way to understand process is through graphical representation, having a visualization of what the problem is and what the process is. One of those graphical representations is a flowchart. Each step or activity within the process can be represented within that flowchart through different shapes or symbols. And another form of flowchart is the deployment flowchart. These charts ultimately show who is responsible for what step within the process. Through the use of flowcharts, the manager and the team can visualize the process more effectively. This can lead to new ideas for improvement. Uncover improvement opportunities. This can be done through the utilization of different diagrams. The cause and effect diagram is useful for identifying the causes of the problem and what needed fixed. Although these causes can be actual causes, they can often be potential possible causes as well. The fishbone diagram can show what the problem is and the steps or potential causes to take in order to spearhead the problem. The statement of the problem is the most important step within this diagram. Through the use of other diagrams such as causal loop diagram or the Pareto chart, a project improvement team can easily identify problems that need fixed and what the causes of the problems are and how they are related to one another. It is through the understanding of how one thing affects another does a team and a manager make the needed improvements within a department or organization. Once the problem and causes are identified, decisions have been made to what actions are needed in order to make the improvements. It is up to the manager to monitor the progress of those actions. And finally, once the improvement project has been completed and is found to be unsuccessful, the next step is to initiate another improvement project. This is when the team must assess the last project or the previous project and determine what went wrong and how to fix it, and that way we can ensure that the same mistakes are not made within the new project. Biblical perspective. There are many instances in the Bible where Christians are instructed on the importance of planning. God has plans for each of his people, and it is important that as Christian managers, God's plans are followed. As it is expected that a project improvement team is to follow the plan that is set out to ensure the success of the project, the same goes for Christian managers and following God's plan. For I know the plans I have for you, declare the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11.